Hey, good morning. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft. You're probably tuning in and wanting to know when that freeze line is going to work a little further south. So let me break this all down. Big picture across the state. It is really messy from Dallas, Fort Worth, Waco into Austin, even San Antonio creeping into that freeze line as well. I'm going to zoom on in here locally. So right now we are just tracking plain old rain out there. Our temperatures are still above the freezing point. So anything that falls is going to fall just in the form of rain. It's not expected to freeze just yet. That's because temperatures are too warm to support that transition. You may run into a few pockets of some moderate to maybe briefly heavy downpours, even in Brazoria County. Right now, you've got that nice little red popping up on the radar. That's a downpour. But otherwise, notice it's from Bryan, College Station, just northwest of Brenham. That is where these temperatures are going to transition to being cold enough to support any sleet or freezing rain or even a few ice pellets. So here's Bryan, Snook, Somerville, Burton this morning. That notice we're trying to transition on the radar. I would say give this another hour and we'll probably maybe see a little more consistency, and then we'll wait to hear from some of our reports. We do have a reporter, Adam Bennett, who is in College Station right now, and he has been letting us know all morning. He's just been seeing rain, but pretty soon he may start to see a little sleet or freezing rain mixed in with that. We do have a winter weather advisory. This is almost for everyone. This takes effect at 2 o'clock this afternoon and now continues through noon, lunchtime on Friday. The reason why the National Weather Service is giving a heads up that we could see less than 1/10 of an inch of that wintry precip of accumulation. So ice, a little sleet on some of our elevated surfaces. If you typically commute on a bridge or an overpass, this is a heads up for your overnight hours. Remember, this takes effect at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we're not expecting almost probably any rain, especially in town or south of, to transition to any type of wintry mix just yet. That's because temperatures are too warm. But give it several hours. I think by about 6, 7 o'clock this evening, that's when we'll start to see those temperatures come really close. So 40 degrees, that's at Bush Intercontinental Airport, 32 in Austin, 23 Dallas. Ooh, single digits, Amarillo and Lubbock sitting at 4 degrees, 9 degrees. That's why they're currently seeing snow. Our temperatures area wide now, it is 8:11 this Thursday morning as we do this live for you. It's 33 in College Station, 35 in Brenham, 39 in Tomball. Notice once you head closer to the coast, we're in the 40s. So you're going to walk outside this morning if you haven't been out yet and you're watching this, and you're going to notice it's colder, noticeably colder compared to yesterday. 20 plus degrees in especially areas north of town. However, we're not below the freezing point. So a lot of you still working with upper 30s and 40s. Now you factor in the wind, notice sustained from College Station into Brenham to Tomball this morning around 15 to 20 miles per hour. That's enough for a wind chill to feel already in the 20s. So it's feeling right now in Brenham at 24, feeling like 31 in Tomball. Sugar Land, you're feeling down to 32. That's the wind chill factor. So the actual air temperature combined with that north wind. Now we're expecting temperatures to stay at or below the freezing point for about 15 to maybe 18 hours. It's a very different story than several days that we had last year. Now, taking your future track to 3 o'clock this afternoon, notice how our 30s and 40s are now transitioning to 20s and closing into more mid-30s. And I think this is just about right. Notice how that freezing point starts to get a little bit closer in town, south of town. Remember, 2 o'clock is when our advisory takes place. Then once we head into 7, 8, 9 o'clock this evening, it's almost more area-wide, especially areas north and to the west where temperatures are closing in on that freezing point, 27 in College Station. So that's where they could even see maybe 1/8 of an inch of accumulation there, and that's why they're actually under a winter storm warning. Everyone else under that advisory, and we'll be looking at less than 1/10 of an inch, and only on those elevated surfaces. Getting into our overnight hours, this is when I really want you to pay attention. If you work a shift that's overnight, or if you typically have to commute before the daylight happens, so if you're an early riser, you need to pay attention on the roadways that you use early tomorrow morning. Make sure you check in with us tomorrow morning, and we're going to let you know about any problematic areas out there. But again, it'll mainly be for those elevated roadways. But still, I want you to keep your guard up through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Notice how most of the moisture wants to get on out of here, but it's the temperatures that are cold. And when I say cold, 20s area wide, you factor in that wind like we're seeing this morning. Tomorrow morning, you'll be feeling more in the teens and 20s. But again, compared to last year at this time, remember we were forecasting wind chills in the single digits and most of our temperatures in the teens. So a very different story. And this is going to be very short-lived compared to what we dealt with last year too. But getting into the ice forecast. So how much and where? So that freeze line has continued to work its way a little further south. Yesterday morning, we were showing you this more for our northwest counties. Still looking at accumulations less than 1/10 of an inch. So that's still looking at minor impacts. The further north you travel, if you were trying to get into Waco or Fort Worth or Dallas, or maybe thinking about Austin, even San Antonio, I would pump the brakes on that. I would wait till Friday afternoon. Just you don't even want to have to deal with that slightest bit of an icy spot or a slick spot out there. So again, if your work or maybe friends or family were taking you that direction, I would just rethink that. Some of you though who have been posting on my Facebook page and tweeting this morning about flying outbound this morning, you shouldn't have any problems. I mean, our airports are, they're used to dealing with some rain, and that's all that you're seeing. It's a cold rain, but it's just rain area-wide this morning. I think this afternoon as temps drop, we'll see a little bit of sleet mixed in, especially for our northwest counties, just like you saw in our future track. It's overnight that's when maybe that winter precip starts to become a little bit more area-wide, but we don't have as much moisture to work with, so it'll be spotty, but that could make for just some brief but patchy icy spots on some of those elevated surfaces. And then getting into Friday morning, I think it's going to be more about these wind chills and how cold you're going to be feeling rather than actually what's falling, because most of the moisture is trying to get out of here pretty early. So as far as your 7-day, big improvements for your Saturday and Sunday. This is kind of the best news, because by Saturday afternoon, we're back into the 50s, so it is fairly short-lived. The window that we have to monitor really closely is probably after about 7 o'clock this evening through probably about 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I think that's when, of course, we don't have any daylight out there. That's also when we could start to see a little bit of those ice pellets, a little sleet form, and that's when we'll be tracking some of those elevated surfaces. I'll leave you a last view of our radar. I know some of you tune in on these live reports a little bit later. So I'll kind of give you a recap here so you can see the line that we're tracking right now and then what we're expecting. So this morning we have rain, area-wide rain. The cold front is already offshore. So now it's just the timing of that cold air blasting across the state. So that's why we have rain in place, but our temperatures haven't dropped as cold as they're going to. But the cold front is already offshore. You can see the north winds all across the state. So we have already seen light snow pretty much across that grounds there. We've had live cameras in Dallas, and then notice from Austin, the pink, that's that mix of some sleet, some freezing rain, some ice pellets this morning. We do not have any reports of that here locally. Where we will probably start seeing and hearing of those reports, Bryan College Station, maybe even towards Brenham. We'll watch that Livingston line. But everywhere else, when you see the green on the map, that is rain. That's plain old rain that we're used to around here. It's only when you start to see some of that pink, a little bit of the white, that's the transition, and saying that it's possible that once this moisture falls, that it's freezing before it actually touches the ground. No accumulation probably over the next couple to several hours, even areas northwest, but once we get into the afternoon hours, I wouldn't be surprised if areas like College Station, A&M actually postponed their classes today because they're expecting this winter weather. We've been showing that all morning. Once you get into Brenham though, and then areas once you head in town, and now the National Weather Service did expand and extend the timing of this. So this is in effect until noon tomorrow. And then notice how it's draped for our southern counties as well. So portions of Brazoria and Matagorda County, and even right along the Gulf Freeway. So we are going to be on top of this for you. We're going to be posting on this on our social media pages and of course on TV as well. But I'll leave you at this. Ooh, single digits from Amarillo to Lubbock. Our 40 degrees here at Bush Intercontinental Airport. By late afternoon, I'm talking 5, 6 o'clock as we head into our evening hours, that's when those temperatures will probably get really close to that freezing point. We'll see you on TV in a couple of minutes, and we'll continue to send you these live updates as well as anything changes.